Okay, thank you. Just 1 second.
Do you want me to remember this?
I think it's Meridian guest, but I don't remember. I think it might be all lowercase now. Sounds right. Meridian guest is a password, I believe. Yeah.
This thing has got to
Okay. It is 6:30, and I will call the September 22nd, 2025 Planning Commission regular meeting to order and start with a roll call vote of planning commissioners. Commissioner Rombach.
Here.
Commissioner McConnell.
Present.
Commissioner McCurtis.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder. Here. Commissioner Fowler.
Here.
And Chair Shrewsbury is here, and Commissioner Brooks.
Here.
All right, thank you very much. Perfect timing. We are now at public remarks. As Mr. Shorkey noted, this is public remarks on general topics. We do have time on the agenda for 2 public hearings, for which I see a lot of people have filled out forms. If you would like to speak on something that is not a public hearing, this would be the time to do it, or at the public remark portion at the end of our meeting. Is anyone here to speak on something other than the 2 public hearings? Okay, move forward to approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Rombach.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McCurtis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved as presented. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting of September 8th, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Rombach.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Curtis.
Ms. Chair, I will note I did make one correction.
Okay.
At item 12 at the end, Mr. Nahum over there spoke. I just double checked the correct spelling of his name, so I'll correct that in a minute.
Okay. So we have one correction. Are there any other comments or corrections to the minutes? Okay, with that one correction, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Did you have a motion?
Yep, moved by Rombach, seconded by McCurtis.
Okay.
One amendment. And we're now down to communications. I see there are 2 in our packet. Have you received anything else?
I have not.
Okay. And that puts us to public hearings. Item 7A, special use permit number 25020, Fedewa, Adobe Road. I'm sure you'll start with this, but again, the sort of what the public hearing process is, and
Sure.
we explained it before we started, but maybe for the record, just remind people what happens next.
Sure.
Okay.
So once again, this is a public hearing. I'll give a report. The applicants will have a chance to come up and answer questions. The floor will then open to public. Everyone who submitted a card will get 3 minutes. I shook them up, so I don't know what order that'll be. And then you will see the Planning Commission make what they call a straw poll vote. It is a non-binding vote, and the reason they do that is, as I explained, they do not make a formal vote tonight. They will make that at their next meeting, and at the next meeting, staff has to prepare a resolution for them to vote on. So to give us direction, they'll make that. They're not bound by that, and indeed, they have changed in the past their mind between the straw poll and a final decision. So nothing tonight is binding, but that is the process. This is ultimately going to be a recommendation because of the type of SUP it is. This has to go to the board for final decision. And with that, this is SUP 25020, Fedewa Holdings, to construct a multiple family development over 25,000 square feet at 4601 Adobe Road. Everybody here is pretty familiar with where the property is at this time. The property was conditionally rezoned to RD in April of this year. Conditions were that the rear yard setback had to be increased from the required 40 feet to 100 feet. Also, the development is restricted to townhomes with no more than 4 buildings, 8 units per building, each with their front door and garage accessible from the outside. Based on the plan that they've submitted, the SUP application does comply with those conditions. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. We get in here, the traffic analysis is based on a comparison of the former RAA zoning and the current RD zoning and 32 units. Traffic expected to be generated by the proposed development does not meet our requirements in our ordinance for a full traffic impact study. This will be reviewed and need to be approved by the Ingham County Road Department. If the SUP is approved, they will have to go to site plan approval after that. Ingham County Road Department at that time will review the traffic analysis, and they will make the final determination on whether any further study is warranted. I'll bring the site plan up in a moment and show, but as kind of described during the rezoning, they show that they're closing the existing drive to, the existing northern drive to Faith Lutheran Church. They're proposing to construct their own drive just to the north of that and a new drive to the south of that that would exclusively provide service to Faith Lutheran Church. I can let them speak more to that. It's my understanding that there is an agreement in place for future maintenance of that since it is on their property, but that's between them. It's a private agreement. Finally, there is a southbound CATA bus stop on Dobie Road. That's right there. Township pathway runs along the front of the site, so it has non-motorized accessibility. I will say it is quite a walk to anything. The schools are a good distance away. But there is technically connection. The other concern that came up quite a bit was stormwater. So the applicant calculated, and I'll let them speak to how they got to these numbers, what engineer they used, but on the site, on the plan, they show that they expect the required 100-year storm volume to be held on site to be a little over 29,000 cubic feet of water. The applicant is proposing 2 retention areas on the site. Those are designed to hold a little over 34,000 cubic feet of storm water. Those storm drains, or excuse me, those detention areas are connected via storm drain that ultimately will run to the southwest across Faith Lutheran's property. I understand an easement has been provided for that drain, and it will go into the Spruce drain to the west of the site. Note, just like with the roads, if this gets to site plan, the Ingham County Drain Commission office will have to review all of that, and they have to approve those calculations and those mitigation measures as well. Other than that, I can answer questions. The applicant is here, and let me bring up the plan. You know what? It's up here.
I think it's
So this is these are some of the features I'm talking about. This is existing vegetation that is staying on site. They're showing the 100-foot setback. These are the 4 buildings, 8 units in 2 in each one of these. These are garages. There are site renderings in your packet that do show front-facing garages and front doors. This is one of the detention areas. This is the other detention area. And then it's difficult to make out because they're in a dashed line. But right in here is the existing north drive onto the Faith Lutheran Church. You can see they have that dashed out. This is the proposed new Faith Lutheran drive, and then this is their proposed drive going onto their site. Fire department's going to require some sort of a turnaround. That's what this is taken care of. And then the stormwater calculations that I alluded to are here. The required 100-year volume is 29,455. Release rate is 0.6 cubic feet per second. Pond is shown 3 feet depth, 1 foot not free, 1 foot of free above the drain pipe, I think, for a total holding capacity of 34,252 cubic feet of water. So if these numbers hold, they've engineered the site beyond what they're calculating. And the rest of my because I zoomed in, sorry. So anyway, with that, I can answer questions.
Thank you. Are there questions for Mr. Shorkey?
Yeah, can you go back to the site plan on the aerial photo and talk a bit more about the red boxes for us? Maybe that's for the applicant, I don't know.
I believe those are extra parking areas. Yeah, those are delineating extra parking areas. I will note with our recent update to the parking ordinance, this has plenty of parking.
I was curious about that too. Does that mean it has too much parking?
No, there is no too much parking. It has the minimum required parking.
Oh, well, that's.
There's no
yes, Yes,
cap.
that's true. We don't have a
Yeah.
too much line in
Yeah,
there.
we don't cap it. I will say this meets our parking standards.
Go ahead.
So I don't see it in the site plan, so I'm gonna ask anyway. When you talked about the storm drainage, because I know that was a concern just for other complexes that we've had in the township. I don't see like a natural wetland. That doesn't exist in the site plan at all?
There is a 0.02 acre wetland here that is not regulated by the township. They have a wetland assessment that I included the report of in your packet. Other than that, no, this is not a wetland concern. That wetland was found by wetland consultants. It does not rise to the level of regulation by the township.
So all the storm drainage is strictly infrastructure?
It doesn't come anywhere near that anyway.
Yeah.
There's a line here connecting the two basins, and then there's a line here. If the water was to get to this point, goes this way, into the easement for the drain easement here, and into this manhole to the sprawl drain.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
I have one
Go ahead.
about
Shoulders.
the parking. So it was about the, it was about the traffic. It was related to the parking. So for the traffic, I went and looked at the ordinance on the requirements for a traffic assessment. And so I was getting a little bit confused. So I saw something about 50 trips during a peak hour requiring a traffic assessment. And then in this document, it mentioned 250 on average for the whole day.
Correct.
And so, and then I'm also a little confused between a traffic impact assessment, and then I think there was a mention of a traffic analysis.
So there's a traffic assessment, which is what we ask applicants like the FEDOAs to perform. These are a little bit higher level. You're not suggesting mitigation or anything like that, traffic improvements. If you reach that 50, that mark of 50, an increase of 50 per peak on a day, or 250 overall, that triggers a traffic impact study. That is a more lengthy study that will look at the traffic, look at the road system, and actually suggest measures. Like, if you remember the Panda site, the right turn taper, something like that. Again, the road department will look at this and determine whether these numbers are acceptable.
So would the road department ever require that more rigorous analysis beyond what we've already got here?
Do you mean, that's when, within their purview, if they think that this analysis doesn't meet whatever standards they have? I can't speak to their standards, but if this analysis that's been provided is, if they want updates, they'll ask for updates. They have that authority.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay. At this point, we can,
Applicant is here.
applicant is here. If people have questions for the applicant or would like to hear anything further from the applicant?
Yeah, I think the recycling and dumpster is a wonderful thing to see written down. I think it moved, so I'd love to hear them tell us more about that.
Okay, great.
If-
I'll invite the
I'll
applicant.
turn it
over.
over.
Thank you.
Sure.
If you'd come and let us know your name and address, please.
My name is David Fedewa. I'm at 278 Hazlitt Road, Hazlitt, Michigan.
I'm Jerry Fedewa at 6099 East Lake Drive, Hazlitt.
Thank you.
You're asking about the location of the recycling center?
Yeah.
So we had it originally up front, and we found that it's going to be hard for a dump truck to get in and out and flip the dumpster. And so we were looking at the location in the dead center in the back, so that they would be able to get in and with the fire truck turn around, back around, and then get out facing forward. So instead of having to back down that long driveway. So that's the reason for the move.
So in its current location, the truck would go down to the end, turn around and pick it up on its way out, or?
I'm trying to see the current location in this drawing.
It's on the south side of the main drive, just at the sidewalk.
Yes, so that's the original location, and we have been looking at putting it at the end of the drive
Awesome.
for that reason. So we kind of have two different spots that we're looking at to see which one would work best.
We haven't seen this before, right? We saw it in the spring, but have we seen this diagram here?
No, you have not.
No.
Can you please walk us through like how you ended up at this and lead up to where we are now?
Of course.
And what changed through that process?
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, we all worked together through the winter to kind of get to where we are, and so between now and then, we took the planning and the board and kind of community input to derive this plan. And so to highlight some of the things that we've done here is we've kept the 100-foot setback. And in doing that, we, in one of the original drawings, the detention was in the back, but we obviously got pushed back on that and felt that it would be more harmonious of our design to bring it up front. And so that's why we have the detention kind of wrapping around the building in the front of the property, so that we would get it out of the back of the property. And that whole back behind the fire truck turnaround is undisturbed. So we're going to leave that as it is, all the way up to the fire truck turnaround. We're obviously going to have to pave that, but behind that space, that's what we're trying to leave. And then also, we have the fire truck turnaround, we have the design,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it started out at like 64 units, and then we reduced the size down to the 4 buildings and the 32 units as 8 units per building. And then we moved the back property line 100 feet from the rear property line and created an area that is to the west of the turnaround, the fire truck turnaround, leave that natural, so that, that would give us an additional barrier for the neighbors behind there. And we thought that that was, you know, although I can say that was like the perfect area to put the detention pond because it was already low and such. So that was our first spot that we would have liked to have placed it. And but we were able to fashion it around the two buildings, which was more costly and, but satisfied the not clearing of the back 40, which is backs up to the neighbors. So that, and then we added the easement to the church property. And after speaking with Giannis today, he suggested maybe that,
Gotta let him, who's Giannis?
Giannis is the township engineer.
they all know who he
Okay,
is.
all right, I'm just making.
Yeah, but they might, not, no. Yeah, Giannis is our township engineer, he's our chief engineer. I'm not, I haven't heard of this conversation, so go
No,
ahead.
you haven't. So he suggested possibly running sanitary sewer and the water back that way as well. And so we'll talk to our engineers and see if that seems to be a more feasible location for those. But they are available across the street on Hamilton, or on Adobe, and they are off to this angle to that vacant lot that is.
Where the storm sewer easement goes, there's another sanitary sewer back there that we can also hook to. And so I know that was one of the possible concerns, was being able to hook to utilities, but, we bore under streets all the time, and the expectation with a new build is there's not leads just set on the property ready to go. It's always, we may have to bore.
You gotta go find it, you gotta go find
Yeah.
your water and your sewer.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
Did you want to jump in?
I can wait.
On the decks, I noticed that on the decks on the unit, can you scroll up a little bit, Mr. Shorkey, or? Thank you. That some of them, like on the northeastern side, that deck, that unit, all the way to the right there. Right there. So there's that deck right there, and then I'm just curious, why is that deck there versus pointing to the north? And then there was another unit, if you go one unit down and then 4 units to the left. So go across the street. Oh yeah, there's one right there, but there's also one right there. And why are those two decks right there? Would that trigger a variance? Would these trigger variance requests?
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
On previous buildings that we've done, we've put the deck on the side, and our people have really liked that. They just feel it's a little more private deck.
And we can make it a little larger as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another question about the parking. So I read that it lists, I think in the assessment, there was something like 110 parking spots. I think is what it said.
I'll have to run the math on it.
But what I was curious about with that was, does that include the garage spaces, or is that just outside?
How many was it? How many spots?
I thought it said 110. I could be misremembering.
God, it was, well, there's gonna be 64 spots without inside parking. And then if it was 64, then it would be double that, because you'd then include the 2 garage spaces inside the garage.
So,
And those are renter spots, not including any of the visitor parking spots.
right.
So there'd be 128,
Oh,
Yeah, yes.
because there's 4 per unit, and then the auxiliary or visitor parking.
okay.
you have a question?
Yeah, so my question is not really it's related to the building, but it's not in this, in the packet. One of my concerns is the market in terms of affordability. And I guess this is always a question that comes up, because you have, you want to have something that like police, fire, teachers, can afford to live in. What is your market rate in terms of cost for renting or they're townhomes? So yeah, renting, these units.
Well, I'm going to say that we have to go through the build process, and that would have some bearing on it. But possibly starting at $2,500. Rents would be starting at like $2,500.
Okay. Per month.
Yes,
And you have 4 bedrooms and 3-bedroom units?
and some 2-bedroom units.
Okay. So when you say 2,500, you're talking about for the starting, you're talking about at the lowest for 2 bedrooms?
Probably, yes. Which are surprisingly quite popular.
Question? I can see you thinking.
I'm just thinking that with the cost of rent and the number of parking spaces, my immediate curiosity is if this is meant to be marketed to MSU students, MSU grad students. Who is the market that you're after here? Just the parking, that's a lot of parking spots.
No, we try to avoid renting to students. That's not our market.
Okay.
But we do have a lot of MSU people. We have, office or, administrative people, and we have professor-type people. And we have had in the past a few graduate students in medical school and those kinds of things. And so probably the basis would be, our biggest draw would be the university.
So like the bedrooms, they're not gonna all have like locks on them as you have in like a roommate situation.
No, we
and some of them are-
no, we wouldn't be doing that. We don't do that.
Any additional questions at this point?
Just to make sure that I understand, each of the sides of the townhome has a 2-car garage and parking for at least 2 cars in front of the garage. And then there's on-street uncovered parking for as many people as are already parked in the garages?
Yeah, right in front of the garages. They have control over those 2 spots.
Now I understand much better, thank
Not on
you.
street, though, like the driveway.
In your driveways.
Yeah.
But there's also some, I'm still trying to figure out the red boxes, sorry. Tell me about the red boxes, please.
The red boxes are the visitor parking spots. And so and I can get more specific on it so that we can all understand.
I think I heard you say, yeah.
So this is a 2-car garage and this is a 2-car garage. And so there is a space for 4 cars to park across here. So this is a unit, and in that unit you have the 2 cars here and 2 cars out front.
Gotcha. So if I have a birthday party and 7 people show up, some of them can park in the back?
In the visitor parking, yes. Yep. So you would have obviously your 2 spots in the garage, two spots in front, and then we hope not everybody has a birthday party the same day. But there's quite a bit of parking.
Thank you.
Questions good? Ready to move to public comment? Okay. Let us start hearing from the public. We may end up
Thank you.
with more questions after we hear from the public.
course.
For
Thank
those of
you.
you
Thank
who
you.
are here to speak, I have forms. If you got here afterwards and have not turned in a form but would like to speak, please pick up a form from the table, give it to Mr. Shorkey. I will call your name and I'll let you know who is on deck. They'll have 3 minutes to speak. And it is the practice of the board not to, or the commission not to respond to public comment. We're here to listen to you, but will not answer questions today, although your comments may generate questions that we might have for Mr. Shorkey or for the applicant. We will start with Peggy Anderson first, and then followed by Bradley Shaw. If you'd give your name and your address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Peggy Anderson, 4504 Seneca Drive. I'm a 32-year resident at that address. And I'm here to oppose special use permit 25020 submitted by Fedewa Holdings for the 32 townhomes on Dobie Road. I looked through all the criteria that you have for special use permits, and my first one is, as it was all through the Planning Commission and board process for this rezoning, the detention ponds. And now we're connected to my Spross drain. Now we're connected on the site plan to the catch basin. That's the 30, they show that 30-foot storm easement that's on Faith Lutheran's northwest property. It's good to hear that there is an agreement with Faith Lutheran because we're solving a drainage problem by using someone else's property. And I don't know when we started fixing drain issues for new developments by easements on other people's property, but you're going to put that down into the catch basins. That is the lowest point on Seneca Drive. It is already the place where when it rains really hard like it did, that's standing water in there. And are we taking into account that now this new hardscape development is going into the same place that Faith Lutheran's hardscape development goes into? My backyard is lower than Faith Lutheran's parking lot. So if this now can't handle everything that's now coming to Faith Lutheran's easement and drainage, that water's going to be in my backyard. The second one would be the additional driveway. I am really, again, apparently there is an agreement about the fact that they are building a driveway on their property that does not access their property. It accesses the neighbor's property. And that's the property, and that driveway will be the one that you use for all your polling precincts. So I hope that you'll have a future agreement for liability and everything else for that driveway that will be on the Fedewa Holdings property behind us that doesn't access the development that you've agreed to. It accesses a neighboring property. Through this whole entire process, little surprises like this come up, and so I'm respectfully request that you reject this special use permit.
Thank you. Next, we have Bradley Shaw, followed by Woody Isaacs.
Thank you. My name is Brad Shaw, 4504 Dobie Road. The staff report again states the awkward reality that only a portion of the subject property is consistent with a future land use map. The site plan is inadequate to address drainage and flooding concerns. The developer offers a two-property water approach, yet ignores most of the church property. The site plan shows surface water directed east towards Dobie Road, then back west underground to a drain through the church property. The unshown southern part of the church property, including 3 open iron grates, drains surface and groundwater to the same drain targeted by the subject project. The developer needs to submit a full plot of the church's catchment area. Ingham County provides no ditching or culverts of any kind on the section of Dobie Road that should allow water to reach suitable drains. The site plan shows no tie into the Dobie Road storm system for a reason. The improved infrastructure would first be needed from the Ingham County Road Department. The infrastructure is currently not there to do it right. The developer provides a land record deed that clearly states that the new church driveway is a public right-of-way. Responsibilities of current and future deed holders of both properties must be clearly defined and made public for maintenance, de-icing, snow removal, safe public access liability insurance on the new North Church driveway to be located on Fedewa Holdings property. This is a public right-of-way by the deed. This is not a private agreement between two private parties. As the Planning Commission knows, the master plan was revised to give a green light to rezoning for this project. At that time, public safety for the impacted neighborhood was not addressed in noncompliance to state law. Public safety concerns are directly related to this project. Am County's substandard rural road leads directly to unsafe pedestrian traffic. The pedestrian pathway south of the Southern Church driveway repeatedly floods, causing pedestrians to proceed precariously up the embankment to the shoulder of Dobie Road. In addition to the CATA bus stop, there is already a very busy school bus stop at the next driveway north of the subject project. That is Chief Okemos Circle. As a result, traffic routinely backs up past Hamilton Road. With an existing and potentially growing concentration of young families with children on the very busy Dobie Road, there is no crosswalk between Hamilton and Hatch Road, which is a distance of 0.85 miles. The township needs to address crossing a road and the lack of access to recreational facilities for these families. No kid is going to walk a half a mile to avoid crossing a very busy two-lane road. This project does not meet the requirements of a special use permit. The permit should not be approved.
Thank you. Next, we have Woody Isaacs, followed by David Clark.
I'm Woody, but I'm part of the same Hartford group.
Oh, okay, I'll put you in the other one. Thank you. I had that in the wrong place. Thank you. Okay, so David Clark, followed by Joel Major.
Hi there, Dave Clock, 4538 Seneca Drive, Okemos. And appreciate you taking time to listen to me tonight. And I want to say I respectfully request that the special use permit 25020 not be approved under the issues I state below. There's a couple issues in the packet that I believe is incorrect or misleading. And one of them is that the project is designed, constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing and intended character of the general vicinity, and that such a use will not change the essential character of the same area. And in there it mentions, again, the master plan from 23. And I go back to preserving the character of the existing single-family residential neighborhood. Treasurer Duchesne made that point at the board meeting about, and his word was stark. There's going to be a stark difference between the homes on Seneca to the development. So please keep that word in mind when you're in your site plan decision making. The other one is that the project will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of the surrounding properties. That was in the packet to you. That is not true. There's a home for sale on Seneca Drive. It's had a number of people attend the house to purchase, and they've all turned it down from the reason that the property, after doing homework and looking at the site plan, that's not something they want to buy, and the realtor has told them to keep lowering their price. So again, that does, and I mentioned that before, that's an economic hardship for us residents. And again, my concern goes back to water. And I'm going to not use my words, I'm going to use the words from the township engineer that's in your packet. And that township engineer says the western half of that site is going to be filled, which potentially would impede backyard runoff from the adjacent homes, which are our homes, with potential ponding and potential additional flow into the neighbors' backyards. That's not my words, that's the engineer, the township engineer's words. And then there's comments in there about soil erosion. Again, confirming our concerns all along about water, soil, erosion. And then there was a comment in the packet to you that the information provided by the applicant, staff has identified no major concerns that would negatively impact the surrounding properties. Well, I just mentioned a couple right here, and it's from your own township engineer. So for those reasons, I respectfully request that you not approve this permit until those issues are addressed and resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joel Major, followed by Chris Clark.
Brian, I need to verify that you can submit that up there.
I did, that's a communication.
Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Joel Major. My address is 4570 Seneca Drive. If you scroll, we're at the top northwest corner of the site plan that you see in there. And in the packet, in the email I sent you, I gave you three different drawings or figures. The first one is a lot corner flag that a separate surveyor had denoted as the northwest corner of the property. If that is the case, and that is 6 feet moved, all of this site plan needs to move further south if the dimensions are correct that you see on there. So my question in my brief was, hey, this is a picture of a lot corner. Who verifies that? Who checks that? It sounds like maybe the chief engineer does. But if you move all that, it moves into the encroached easement to the south of figure 2, which is actually the site plan. And just hearing tonight, it looks like there's a few things that even changed on the submitted site plan that might be get to later or not. The second point that I wanted to make is on the site plan itself. Here again, it's the driveway that's noted, that's moved, that is not to be used by anyone at this special use permit. It's not part of the apartment. It is some agreement with the former owner of that. Why is it even on there if it is something that needs to be ratified by the township board prior to its existence? So you're going to either approve or disapprove something with the codicil that that particular driveway can exist until it's approved by the township board. Should be removed from the site plan. The site plan as it's submitted should be inaccurate. Right there, you can see it. The hidden lines you see go all the way up to where the property is, where the housing was denoted in that. The third item is specifically the satellite image that I gave you of two properties to the north. FEDA had developed another apartment townhome dwelling that has a retention pond or a detention pond sitting there, nicely filled with water. Great, seems to be working. Still filled with water. No one can deny that that size of both of those L-shaped detention ponds, a detention pond designed to hold that much water, that's great. The storm drain runs right through the middle of the driveway and then feeds north and south, as you can see right in the middle, right where Commissioner Brooks debated on the decks as an easement. And then there's the other drain that follows only on the south end all the way to drain all the way out onto Seneca, if you note right there on the side of that particular drawing. So why the only drain on the south side? And if they're both designed to hold that much water, that's not within any fluid mechanics. It's all going to drain down that other drain. So that would be a question that we should all have. And then it goes through the easement and then dumps into the Spross drain on Seneca, which this commission and planning and the development commission had already checked that in approval of the Tacoma Hills driveways and pavement issue. Is it even checked to even hold that much water, which we already have opposed numerous times before, and that's the question. Is by the rendering itself, isn't it invalid? How can you approve something that is inaccurate and then sounds like it's even going to change? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Clark, followed by Cecilia Kramer.
Is your name Chris, K-R-I-S?
Yes,
Thank you.
correct. Chris Clark speaking in opposition tonight. I only have 3 minutes, so I can only hit upon a few of the inaccuracies that are in the staff analysis and the special use permit application. Number 3 in that packet is that the project is designed so as to be harmonious in appearance with the existing character of the general vicinity. That's not true. I pointed out, stood in front of this very board on January 13th, 2025, and I said to you all. The developer says that he's going to want to put 3-story buildings in there. 2 stories with a garage underneath, 3-story building. He got before all of you at that very same meeting and gave his word that the development would only be 2 stories, not 3. So here we are today looking at the plans for 3-story buildings on the eastern side of the development. So to the east is only single-family homes. So they're going to look out their windows to a 3-story building, which is nothing. I mean, nothing around that is 3 stories. There's no visual harmony here. Not to mention the development's only driveway into that development, if you look on the map, hits a home on Seneca smack in the middle. So I don't imagine having headlights in your home at all hours of the day and night is harmonious with the character of a neighborhood. And let's not forget about all the light pollution from the buildings themselves. Number 4 in your packet is the project will not be hazardous to existing neighboring uses. The township's own engineer again states that the western half of the site will be filled, which can lead to potential ponding and additional flow into the neighbors' backyards. Exactly what we have said consistently all along. And again, for the record, we've never had water in or near our home in 25 years. So if we suddenly do, it will be a direct result of this development. Number 5 in your packet, the project will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of surrounding properties. Again, not true. I would really like you to tell that to my neighbor who's trying to sell their home currently that borders this development. Buyer feedback has overwhelmingly indicated that people do not want to purchase a single-family home that borders a multifamily development so closely. The economic loss for homeowners is huge. Perhaps at the next meeting, we should bring in a realtor to attest to the devaluation of our homes. And number 9, the project will not have an adverse impact on natural resources of the township, including wetlands and wildlife areas. Obviously, the developer is tearing down trees that are hundreds of years old, which have been cataloged. There's also, as people alluded to earlier, a small wetland on the western side of the development, which sounds like there's no protection or eagle involvement for that wetland. There's no concern for environmental preservation or protecting wildlife habitat in this plan. As a matter of fact, they actually have to take more forested land and destroy more land to behind the church for the sewage and drain connections that are required for this development. I respectfully ask that this special use permit as presented before you today be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Cecilia Kramer, and that is the last sheet I have for this item, unless there's somebody who has not yet filled out a form.
Don't do this one.
Good evening. My name is Cecilia Kramer, 4560 Oakwood in beautiful Forest Hills. But I am speaking just as a matter of clarification on behalf of Faith Lutheran. Faith Lutheran has already contacted the township as well as other county entities, the Drain Commissioner and the Road Commission, regarding the water issues along the front of Dobie Road on our parcel. The Road Commission does have to deal with ditch issues along there. Mr. Shaw has alerted you all to the problems that are having, along with water that's coming down the driveway, et cetera, and staying in our southern portion of our parcel. So that is got to be handled. Township has a big chunk of this also because it is your pathway. It's not our sidewalk, it's your pathway. So that has to be dealt with through the township also. So we've got to get all of these entities together, and we stand ready to assist and do our part here. Also, during the buy-sell agreement for the property, the church received access to a 50-foot easement on the now FEDOA property for our driveway access. This will be an ingress-egress easement. It has been codified. it has been, they will be replacing our current driveway, moving it south onto the easement as, portion, and putting it in. We will, the church will, at that point, take over maintenance of the driveway and have insurance, et cetera, on it. So that's how we've handled that. Moving along to the storm issues. The storm easement goes from the Feedawas back on the northwest corner of the church property, the current church property. And actually, the whole 10 acres, original 10 acres of the church, is in the Spross Drain District. You don't want to have to try and go into one of the adjoining drain districts. That would be the to the Daniels to the north or to the east across the road. Then you have to get into the Forest Hills on the south, which comes across as an easement, or excuse me, as a down the Shaker Heights branch. So to stay in your own drain district is good, is a good thing. And so that 10 acres will remain in, would remain in the Spross
you.
Drain District.
Thank you.
That's all.
Yep, thank you. Again, that is all I have on this public hearing. So at this point, Mr. Sharkey, just remind me, we close the public hearing and then we can discuss?
Correct.
Okay, so I will
7:21.
close the public hearing at 7:20 and ask fellow commissioners if you have thoughts, comments, additional questions for Mr. Shorkey or the applicant. Based on anything that has come to you. Please.
So as I brought up before, issues with drainage, and I think you said that Feedawa had their own. I don't know if they had someone, an independent person conduct.
What I said was that the applicant provided calculations on this. Now, this is not a formal site plan, so this is, I would not expect this to be like final engineering. So I don't know, so these aren't sealed plans. I don't know where those numbers came from. I would defer to the applicant on those who made those calculations.
So my question is, will the township or county, whomever, on the government side, conduct a drainage study, for this? Like I said previously, every time we have a complex go up, that's always an issue when it comes to standing water. I know we leave the flooding that happened just not too far from this building here on Okemos Road a couple of years ago or last year. So, will we have an assessment and will we know exactly what will happen with the drainage? I mean, some people did share concerns about standing water in their neighborhood, in the backyards, and drainage going onto Seneca Road and all of that. So
If this goes through, their next step is site plan approval. That is where the final engineering is done. Those plans get submitted to the Ingham County Drain Commission's office, who has to approve all of this before we will issue site plan approval, which then would lead to, which means if they don't give their blessing, if they don't give their approval, we're not giving this approval and they're not getting building permits.
yeah, that's the
So the Drain Commission will look at this area. Their standard is generally, it's not supposed to leave the site until it goes into a designated area. This is, so they're discussing it, but no, the Drain Commission is not going to take a stance, give an opinion one way or another until they get the site plan. But yes, they will look at this.
And they'll look at, standing water, all of those type of issues that were raised, all those.
They're going to look at, do these mitigation measures meet their requirements, which I'm not going to speak to the specifics of, but it's the second most stringent I've ever worked with. They're going to mimic natural flow off. I mean, they're going to mimic. They will not make the situation worse if the Ingham County Drain Commission does their job correctly.
And finally, when they reach their report, or when they conduct a report and finalize it, will that come before us, or will it go at that point to the board? How does that part work?
Site plan is administrative, so it will come to planning and engineering staff.
And then but will we have a chance to review what that is before, approving or not approving?
No, you will not.
Where will it go from there then?
Site plan is an administrative process.
Right.
It goes to staff.
And that's it.
Staff, so Michigan planning law uses the word shall. If a site plan meets requirements, the township shall approve the site plan. Site plans have never gone before the planning commission or board, okay? Site plan is an administrative process. If it meets requirements, it shall be approved. Now, one of those requirements is the Ingham County Drain Commission's office, and for that matter, the Ingham County Road Department has to approve everything that you see on this plan after it's engineered and they get final numbers. When I say engineered, like signed and sealed by an actual engineer. I don't see that on this, so I would not consider this, like if they submit this for site plan, I'm gonna kick it back to them and say, you're not done. Is that, okay, this is not the technical nature of that.
And just for me and for the public as well, so let's say if it comes back and they're like, you know what, this is going to create too much craziness with the drainage, right? It's not going to drain properly or whatever. Then the staff then say, well, township won't do it.
Yeah, we will not approve a site plan that does not have approval from the Drain Commission or the Road Department.
Okay.
I recently, we recently had a pre-con meeting, just to give you an example, we had a pre-con meeting for phase 1 of Hazlet Village. That was 2 years after the Drain Commission initially said, we don't approve your first design. It took them 2 years to work with the Drain Commission office to find a solution. We did not issue approval until we got that. We waited, so if this doesn't meet their approval, we will not approve the site plan, and they will not get building permits.
Thank you for explaining that, because
Sure.
everyone here
Yeah,
probably needs to know that
no, I mean-
step-by-step process. Thank you.
Commissioner Rovak?
So I have two comments. I think at some point, should you get an intern again, it'd be nice to get a visio of these types of processes of all the steps, because I think that is super intriguing to me, just with the bureaucracy, like the several steps of bureaucracy. Like that's, I think, at least if nothing else, helpful for me. But going on to my question, so there is a note in the staff write-up that talks about the project is not expected to be detrimental to the economic welfare. You guys have an explanation here, not expected. Are you aware of any time where a project has been rejected upon that standard, or if there's any other analysis that can be run underneath that standard? So like, say, in my head, a case went to the circuit court, and the circuit court found this, this project would have been, or something.
Am I aware of that standard shooting down an SUP, is your question?
Yeah, are you aware of the standard, and then maybe are there any specific factors under that standard?
Thinking how I want to answer this.
That's fine.
Our SUP standards have to cover the gamut of special use permits. Those include everything that you find in our commercial districts.
Okay.
So a commercial entity that comes in and says, what you're doing is going to impact my business, that would come into play.
Okay.
I am going to very, very strongly caution you against using arguments of homeowner property value. And this is not a new opinion. This is everywhere I've ever been. This is not a land use decision. While I understand as a former real estate agent, I sympathize, I do. That is not one of your standards in this case.
I would agree with your assessment if that's helpful, but, when I was reading the analysis, and then hearing the comments from the public, and just putting two and two together here on what the economic is and if it's worth diving any more into, because I would imagine it would not be real estate value, because real estate value fluctuates heavily, especially in times like this when we're seeing record real estate. I think in our last meeting, we reported that the average sale price in Meridian Township is somewhere north of 350, almost 400,000 right now.
Yes.
So it's, that as a barometer, I don't think works, but I was intrigued about that comment because it certainly, it's a squishy measurement, but it's got to have been squished at some point to find out what it means.
I don't think I'm speaking out of school. There are some subjective requirements in our SUP requirements. I understand that.
Yeah.
So it is sort of an up to interpretation, but
Very well.
I said what I said.
It's a tough question too, so, but I was intrigued.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner McCollum.
I was wondering if, Mr. Shorkey, you could open your Google Maps tab and fly us around a little bit. And in particular,
What are you looking at?
well, first, the 100-foot buffer in the back looks like quite a vegetated buffer.
So I went back here Friday afternoon and spent half an hour pulling chiggers off my pants and my shoes. Yes, this is very vegetated, but what I will say is the residents aren't wrong. This is lower than, like, there's a kind of a, for lack of a better word, a ridge that goes along here. And it slopes this direction, and then this slopes in this direction, and then it looks to me like everything kind of meanders this way, and this is kind of where the 0.02 acre wetland shows up in the report.
So if you could run us a bit north.
Okay?
There was mention made during public comments, a little bit more,
Okay?
one more, right there on the left. You can see the detention facility built for those townhomes up in the, to the left of that one.
Okay?
And you can see that it's got a little forebay that catches the water as it comes off the roofs in the parking lot, dumps a lot of its sediment, and then goes into the bigger pond, which doesn't drain until it rises to that higher drain. And yeah, it has standing water. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, which is holding that storm surge. If you zoom out a bunch more and go east on Grand River to Walden,
Okay?
this is the kind of stuff that our drain commissioner has people build. The forebays collect the heavy sediment and a lot of the pollution that's going to be on roofs and roads, and then the main drain, in this case, draining differently. But I think in my experience, the drainage that office has caused to be built has improved the conditions on the sites it was built on, holding more water during a storm surge and then releasing it slowly to avoid flooding, and treating some of the pollution as well. So I don't think we should always just give, the drain commissioner the green light on everything that they want to do. I'd like to see them do it better. I'd like to see the sides of the drain detention ponds that they build have trees in them so that they can actually transpire some of the water and stabilize the soils, but then it becomes hard to mow. And so, but I do think that the drain commissioner is causing people to build to an improvement standard.
And you're saying you're supportive of that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Just wanted to be clear.
And, sorry about the vegetation on the site. I've seen the aerial photographs from 1938, and that entire 10 acres was in row crop. There weren't trees except along the edges, so it's sad to see trees cut down. I'm a tree hugger, I'm an environmentalist, I love it, but, we should be realistic about what we're trying to conserve. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Are we ready for a straw poll? Direction? Oh,
I have one comment. I'm
Sure, go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm always like a delayed thinker.
Oh, that's okay. Thoughtfulness.
I just want to say that I appreciate all the concerns that people raise. And I empathize with the concerns. And I think in many respects, they're valid. As the FIDA was mentioned, we've been doing this for quite some time at this point. And I guess from my position, like there was something done around our house and it doesn't work effectively and it needs to be drained better. And I think those issues exist in our township because of where we live. And the drain office even has the Okemos Drain project that they've been working on in order to remediate many of the issues that we have along Grand River and Okemos around that area. And I respect that people who buy property in the township also want to use the land for what we are permitted to use things for. And we all have to figure out how to have compromises between the positions that we take. And I think that in some ways, the thing that we're seeing at the moment is some compromise. We have the retention ponds were in the back, and now they're in the front and the side. And the forest is mostly going to remain as a barrier between the two places. And then we're not also getting pretty intensive multifamily units, which are to the north and northeast. We're getting 2 stories above ground condos. And I think some of those changes that were made to the at least initial concept are probably going to increase the price. And we can't have it both ways, where we all own property here and we have the right to use the land within the permit structure. But I think that these are reasonable changes that are being made at the moment. So I'm in support of this.
Thank you.
That's what I want to say.
I appreciate Commissioner McConnell's educating us all on the drainage ponds. I also appreciate the inherent education too that came along with that, another discussion regarding process. We're approving a special use permit, but we are not the Drain Commission. Like, we approve the SUP, but then there are other governmental approvals and agencies who are much more capable than we are to be sure that things are going to be built appropriately and with the proper infrastructure. I think that's important that I guess, bit of educating comes through when there are so many stakeholders, in the room too. This is kind of just a general comment. This is just a quick side note. I have a very big love of the West in this country, particularly Utah. And I am always looking at real estate in Utah all the time, southern Utah. And I am seeing new developments all the time. And I know that that is not here. Southern Utah is different. I get that. But I see developments happening in other parts of this country with smaller, more affordable homes for your average American. And just as a member of this commission, it continues to concern me that we are putting in developments that are just not attainable for a very large percentage of the people who live here. They are not. A $2,500 a month rent is not attainable for a Hazlet Public Schools teacher. It isn't. And it is just, there are other developers that are doing affordable housing in a way that that is profitable for them as well. And there has got to be a way for us to bring that here. There has to be, if it's happening in other communities. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Ronbeck.
Thank you. I'll just note for the record that, I think a couple years ago when FIDO first appeared in front of this commission, I denoted that at the time my wife and one of the FIDO entities, not the development company, had a contract. At this time, that contract has ended. It has not existed for 2 years. The board at the time voted that I could participate in the vote, and later we got a legal opinion confirming that what we did was correct and I could have participated in the vote, and I abstained at that time. Just noting for the record that that happened then. I do intend to vote on this particular one, but I thought for transparency's sake, it was important to just record that there was a question at one point, but that question no longer exists.
Thank you for making that clear. Did you have another comment?
I just wanted to second what my fellow commissioner said about the affordability.
Thank you. Great. I guess with all comments said, I will do a straw poll and I can do it individually, or I can just say anyone who is inclined to request a motion in support of this proposal, please say aye. Or would you prefer to do one by one? And this is a straw poll, so this is not binding. This is not binding on us, not binding on you.
We'll see this again.
It'll be, I believe, at our next meeting unless, yeah.
Unless somebody says, hey, go research this and then bring it back for more discussion, but I'm not hearing that.
Okay.
I think oftentimes we do a roll call just for transparency,
That
even though
sounds
it's not binding.
Okay, I will start with Commissioner Ronbeck.
I would vote for approval.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Brooks?
Approve.
Commissioner Curtis?
Support.
Commissioner Snyder?
Support.
Commissioner McConnell?
Support?
Commissioner Fowler?
Denied.
Okay, and I am inclined to support, so I think that gives you your straw poll direction, and we will, of course, review this at the next meeting.
It will come back on October 13th, I think it is, and there will be a resolution in there for your review.
Thank you very much. All right, and now we are at our next special use permit, number 25021, St. Martha Parish.
And sometimes we let folks know that if they're done with their
Oh, yes.
participation, you're not
If you are
required to stick
here
around.
for
Thank you.
this item, you are welcome to stay. This is a public meeting. You are not required to stay, and we will not be offended if you decide that it's time to go home now.
Chair Shrewsbury.
Yes.
Can we take a 5-minute recess?
Yes, we can. Apologies for those of you who are here for St. Martha, but you may appreciate a 5-minute recess as well. Give us just a minute. We will reconvene at 7:45. Is 7:51, and we are going to reconvene with special use permit number 25021, St. Martha Parish. Go ahead, Mr. Shorkey, if you would start us off.
Sure. Special use permit 25021, St. Martha Parish, to construct an 11,000 square foot addition to an existing church building at 1100 East, or Grand River Avenue in Okemos. This is a major amendment to an existing SUP, and there's a series of SUPs going back quite a long ways. On page 2 here, there's a little bit of a history. The original SUP for the development of St. Martha Parish was approved in 1988. Then there were a series of other SUPs. At some point, the 25,000 square foot SUP requirement came online. Their next subsequent SUP brought them in conformance with that, and this is an amendment to that SUP. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say about this. It obviously, it meets the existing character because it is a building. I did speak to it matches the existing building. I did speak to the applicant prior to the meeting. The only real concern we had on here was whether it would trigger a traffic assessment or not. If they're increasing the capacity, it would be, but they're pretty clear on their plan. They're not increasing the number of parking spaces. They're just adding space. So I did confirm they're not planning on enlarging their enrollment. This is to satisfy existing needs. So we are not requiring a traffic study of any kind at this point for this. It is erroneously stated in the report here, Ingham County Road Department is not the reviewing agency on this. MDOT is the reviewing agency on this. So when they submit for site plan, because this is Grand River Avenue, that's a state road, they'll submit this to MDOT and they'll have to get their approval as well. Also, because they go through site plan, they're putting up, it's 11,000 total square feet in a 2-story structure, so it's 5,500 square feet of impervious pavement or impervious surface being placed on, existing playground and grass area. Yes, the Drain Commission office will get involved in this as well too. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to say on this. I think there is a rendering in here. Here's the plan. Here's the corner of the building, the existing building. This is like the northwest corner here. And it'll be designed to match their finished floor elevation. And this is kind of the south elevation. Here's your west elevation. So it's a 2-story structure made to fit in with the character of the existing church.
Thank you.
I can answer questions, otherwise the applicant's well represented.
Okay. Does anybody have questions for Mr. Sharkey? Okay, I guess we would like to hear from the applicant then, if there's somebody here representing the applicant.
Whoever.
Good evening, I'm Woody Isaacs. I'm with Viridis Design Group. I'm a landscape architect. We prepared the site plan. We're part of the architectural team for the project. As was mentioned, we have a number of the church representatives here if you have any questions for them directly. I think it was a great overview that Brian gave. The only other item I'll mention that may or may not be relevant for you all is that, this positioning of the new addition is going to be completely hidden from Grand River, from any adjoining residential areas. Basically, it's just to create the space for the programming for the school. So happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner McConnell.
This drawing that we're looking at the moment, am I reading that correctly, that the height of the second floor is 114 feet, 8 inches?
Well, the architects use 100 as the base elevation, so it's,
Get a skyscraper.
yeah, it's not 114 feet tall.
Were you going to approve that?
Meridian
I mean,
Township's
maybe
first
if there's a steeple.
skyscraper.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying that. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. If we have any more questions, may invite you back up. And then, so I had you as public comment, but you've already spoken as the applicant. So I have one person, Father Ryan Riley.
No, I'm the applicant, so I'm
Okay.
dismissed. I'm good.
All right.
Unless you have a question.
Nope, unless there's anything else you wanted to share about this. Okay, so I don't have anyone else for public comment on this, so I will open and close our public hearing with that. And any other discussion or questions about this application?
I have a question for Mr. Shorkey.
Go ahead.
So am I correct? Is this outside of the urban service boundary?
Ooh. Service boundary. Let's see, that is here, so, yes, it is. However, they are served. There's a history to this, I don't want to get into this. They are on utility. I would suggest leave it at that and trust me. One of those SUPs was, in that history, was involved some litigation, and they have a dedicated line.
As before me.
Just as an aside,
It's okay, you're blessed.
whenever I ask a question and you say you don't want me to go into it,
I am not prepared to discuss past
you
litigation.
immediately make me want to go into it.
But it is served via a dedicated line, so that there's no issue with the expansion.
Okay. Is there any, I don't know that we've, at least in my tenure, in which I feel really fortunate to be on the planning commission. But I don't know that I've experienced a SUP outside of the urban service boundary that I'm aware of. Is there, unless I'm mistaken, is there a difference in how those are structured?
There's not a difference in the requirements. If this were an SUP that was dependent on sewer and water getting to them, and it was outside the urban service boundary, that would be a huge red flag.
Okay.
But in this case, even though it is technically outside the urban service boundary, they do have service.
Okay. So
That service is accessible to them and only them.
yeah. So I'm not asking this question in relation to this SUP that we're talking about.
Sure.
It's a general question. So an SUP for a project of over 25,000 square feet and not within the urban service boundary, then that would require service lines at some level?
Likely, it would require service lines if it was a single building. I don't know how likely that is, bearing in mind that most of the zoning is rural residential.
Right, yeah.
The other thing, though, I guess it's conceivable if you were able to assemble a large enough piece. Remember, 25,000 square feet is the total size of the project, not just a single building.
Right.
So if you wanted to propose a subdivision that totaled over 25,000 square feet, it has been interpreted that requires this SUP, if they could show that those properties perked and didn't have to get on our system because it was outside the urban service boundary, then okay. But if they came in and said, no, we need sewer and water, and then we're outside the urban service boundary, then at very least, we're gonna ask you to do a master plan amendment and go through that process. And if you remember, that's intent to plan, changing the plan, all the reviews that comes with, just to change the urban service boundary.
Right.
Which is ultimately a township board action if you and them were willing to do such a thing.
Right. Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Well, yeah, just again, general comment. We did address some irregularities in the urban service boundary in our last go-around, and I don't recall that one being one, but I wasn't around for the prior part, so. It's more a curiosity than a concern.
Or now or another day, or?
I think we should have Director Schmidt come in here and explain the whole thing in great detail.
Probably predates him too, but if you want to put him through that. I don't know if that is germane to the question in front of us right now. Do either of you feel like you need to have this answered?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right, so we'll talk more, maybe one of those meetings where we don't have a lot on our agenda, we can have a conversation around
About
any
how
other
the USB came into.
anomalies in in our urban service boundary. But for this one, are there any other questions about this proposal okay, I will do a straw poll then if we're ready to do the straw poll. Commissioner Rohrbach?
Support.
Commissioner Brooks?
Support.
Commissioner McCurtis?
Support.
Commissioner Snyder? Support. Commissioner McConnell?
Support.
Commissioner Fowler?
Support.
And I support, so that gives you direction for our next conversation on this topic.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Similar story, next meeting, October 13th, I will have a resolution to approve in front of them. Unless something goes terribly sideways between now and then, they'll vote on that. That will then get forwarded to the township board. We'll have to formally approve. Okay? After which you'll apply for site plan and administrative and contact me for further information.
Thank you very much for coming to our meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now on item 8A, unfinished business. We have none. Item 9, other business, we have none. Item 10, reports and announcements. 10A, Township Board update.
At their last meeting, the township board did approve the Hewlett Road Estates planned unit development. And the township board did approve the update to the parking landscape standards.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Brooks.
Not a question.
Oh, okay. Oh, liaison report?
Yeah.
Oh, please, go ahead.
I was able to attend the second Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meeting. And one of the things that we started to talk about, well, first off, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority now has some level of funds that we could potentially use that for different activities. One of those activities that we've talked about was working to map out the brownfield zones in Meridian Township. Director Clark did some research on that with the planning department, and we've found out that the state of Michigan, I do not mean to misrepresent this. This is my memory here. However, but the state of Michigan has different phases of brownfield sort of research that they do where they'll help identify spots And the first part of that is free at the moment, in which you can identify potential brownfield areas. But you have to define the scope of area that you do that exploration in. If we did the whole township, that would be relatively large. If we did a smaller pica, like the Hazlet Village area, that would be more feasible. One of the ideas behind doing this is, I asked about this, but I was thinking about the master plan and how our goals are to develop in picas, but also in, to remediate different areas. And could we use the brownfield funds to try and strategically target different areas that we're trying to improve? And so I just wanted to report back that I think, I had to leave a little bit early, but I think they may have settled on the Hazlet Village area. Mr. Shorkey, I don't know if you know more about that. But if they settled on an
No.
area. No. Okay.
I am not staff to the Brownfield Authority,
Yeah.
so no, I'm interested in what you're saying.
Okay, so, but this was a conversation, like an initial conversation to talk about this. So it was just to think out loud with the planning commission, like, are there strategic areas that we would be interested in thinking about brownfield funds from a land use perspective? So I just wanted to bring that information back.
Anybody else have liaison reports or questions for Mr. Brooks? No other reports? Okay, thank you. Project updates, I saw you had a list in our.
Yep, there's a list in there. There's highlighted text, our updates. Yeah, Hewlett Road Estates, waiting for site plan. Hazlet Village, we've had the pre-application meeting for phase 1. And Playmakers they purchased the building at 5707 School Street. It's actually 3 properties over there. And they have an approved site plan. They're just using that for personal storage. Not, when I say storage building, it's not like people can go and rent it. It's just, they've got a lot of shoes they sell.
Thank you. Any questions about the project updates? Okay, we are at public remarks. Is there anybody who would like to give public remarks at this portion? Okay, thank you. Hand me your form and I'll get it to Mr. Shorkey.
Yep.
Actually, you can just come to the table, give your name and your address, give the form to
Yeah, 'cause
Mr.
we got
Shorkey, and
you.
we're all good. Thank you.
Oh,
Can I start?
Green light.
Hi, my name is Deborah Major. I live at 4570 Seneca Drive, and I just wanted to clarify some misinformation that I think was presented. The FEDA plan that we saw tonight is for 3-story buildings, and this is not consistent. Again, I'm repeating myself, but I feel like this piece was missed. It's not consistent with the apartments to the north, which are just 2-story buildings, and of course, the houses to the west, which are 2-story. 3-story buildings would not be consistent. Also, the 3-story buildings were first proposed by Mr. Fidawa, and when it was denied, Mr. Fidawa said on January 13th, 2025, that he would revise it to 2-story buildings. In fact, he promised that. 2 stories being the garage and 1 level. Now we have the garage, a level, and a level, making it 3 stories. So here we are again, and we are looking at 3-story buildings. Your straw vote indicates that he was asked to make these changes. He said he would make the changes, and he promised he would make the changes. He didn't, and yet you supported it anyway by your straw vote, and that's a bit concerning to me. Also, as far as affordability goes, you've talked about teachers a lot. I am a teacher. I've been a teacher for 28 years. If I were a single mom right now, there is no way on my teacher's salary of 28 years that I would be able to afford a 2-bedroom, $2,500 a month rent for an apartment with no amenities. And then I think, what is the price point of a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom? And wouldn't those people perhaps just buy a house? I don't know. I know that my daughter and my son-in-law are both engineers, and they were renting a 2-bedroom apartment in Dayton, Illinois, and their apartment was $1,850 a month, and they thought that was expensive. So I just wonder, Okemos is not much different from the community in which they live, and yet that's $700, $650 more a month than they were paying. So I guess this is your chance to say no to this SUP. I think it would be enlightening to hear about the reasoning for our one dissent commissioner. I think it would be nice if we heard all of the people, not just the people who thought yes and approved this, but also what the other thoughts for disapproving it would be. And I just ask that you consider all of the factors. And if you ask somebody to make a change and they don't make the change, I don't see how you can accept that they brought you back the same plan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to give public comment? Give Mr. Sharkey here.
Sure.
Thank you. David Fedewa, 278 Hazlitt Road. I just have a couple of quick comments to clarify. So we do have two-story buildings. The reason we went to a 3-story building in the front, right next to W Road, is because we needed a thinner footprint to then pull the detention pond up to the front of the property. So if we did the 2-story footprint, we'd have to push the detention pond back into the back of the property. And so there was a strategic reason why we were looking to do that. And so there's no intention of deception. We want to be clear as day. And that's the reason we did it. Also, for affordability, we've done research on other units in the surrounding areas, Hazlitt, Okemos, and DeWitt. And the price per square foot, our units always rent for cheaper than the rest of the market. One of the reasons we do that is because our tenants stay with us longer, and that helps us long-term as a property owner. We have some people that have rented some of our units in Hazlitt and Okemos that moved in as a brand-new tenant in a brand-new building and have stayed for 8+ years. And so we try to keep our rent reasonable compared to what is in the marketplace. And we're even comparing our rent of a brand-new building against, older buildings. And so I just want to say that we do look at affordability, and even though $2,500 does seem like a lot, if you compare it to what else is in the marketplace, we are what we'd consider reasonable. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Thank you.
Greg Fedewa, 7030 Coleman Road, East Lansing. I just lost my note. There was a discrepancy in the site plan. The rear corner said it was like 9 feet off, so that the entire site was moved down. We spoke to the surveyor in question, and got our surveyor and their surveyor to talk, and they determined that our current site plan is correct. The locations are correct. It doesn't include a grading plan, but if it did, it would show that a lot of the water is guided toward those detention ponds and not just tipped backwards. So the site currently, you can't really use the current topography of the site, because we're obviously going to engineer it to tip the site in different directions to move the water towards the detention. We've worked hard. We think this is a great multifamily project for this multifamily parcel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Okay, we'll close the public comment. And we are now at item 13, commissioner comments. If anybody'd like to speak. Seeing none. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I was waiting. I have several things I want to say.
Okay.
So during my comments at the I'm going to misremember what the SUP I was commenting on, the Fedewa site. I said 2 stories when I was talking about that, but hearing that there were 2 and 3-story units, I just want to say that out loud, that I was mistaken in only saying 2. There's a couple other things I want to comment on. One is that the affordability piece, I am also concerned about affordability. It seems like it's the planning commission's responsibility, though, to think about the land use, at least as I understand it. And so if there are things that we care about with affordability, then I think we need to be proactive in that and try and think through how do we shape our land use policies in the township in order to impact affordability. And that's difficult to do in a special use permit hearing. I also think that we have to be careful in what our expectations are when we talk about SUPs like this, because it's very possible that things that we stipulate may make things less affordable because it increased the cost of the development. And there's always going to be trade-offs in those spaces. And I don't know how to get around those, given just that everybody has certain things that they want. And then I also have a thought that it would be really nice if when things are getting revisited like this over time, that any changes that are happening, that those are presented on and told as a story to us so that we could remember what happened, and also so that whoever is requesting something like this talks about the different mitigation steps that have been done in order to meet the needs of the community. Because people care, I think, this is what I care about anyways, is, as somebody on this commission, is that I care that the decisions are difficult sometimes, but I think if I were here, I would want to know why somebody is voting the way that they are, because that's more transparent, even if it's difficult to maybe say those things out loud or uncomfortable. I think it's fair. So I just wanted to make those comments about the SUP hearing that we had earlier.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, then you. Go ahead, Commissioner McCarthy, then McConnell.
So for piggybacking off what Commissioner Brooks just talked about, so for transparency, the reason why I voted the way that I did for the FEDA special use permit was because we had to look at, I can only speak for myself. We were charged with looking at what's in front of us and what the law says. And we can't vote on affordability. And all the other criteria that is based on, the criteria was met. So because the criteria was met and we don't have control over drainage and some of the other things, because we're just one out of other groups that have to look at this because it's a process, then at least for what we were charged with doing and what was put before us, that's the reason why I had to vote, or that I voted the way that I did. In doing that, expressed serious concerns about the affordability because of the makeup of our township and the people that, our community leaders, our community teachers and firefighters and police officers and all of those professions, and how hard it would be to meet that type of a monthly rent, if you will. So, but that's the reason why, to be full transparent, that's the reason why I voted the way that I did, because of what was put before us and what was charged, what we were charged for doing, and all the criteria was met.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McCollum, Linda?
I want to quibble with the senior planner. That's what I want to do. If I heard right during the presentation of the project, there might have been an implication that the site on Dobie Road is not, doesn't meet accessibility, micro-mobility, walking and biking. It's a half a mile from the intersection of Dobie and Grand River. It's a half a mile to a QD, a little bit farther to Tom's. It's one of the most walkable spots we've got in the township. I mean, if you want to try to walk to Meyer from there, you can. I see people doing it all day long. So I wanted to make that point.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner McConnell, I was confused by your point.
I thought I heard in the presentation of the proposal this evening that the site might not be considered walkable. And it really is. It's already being used. That sidewalk along Dobie Road is used a lot by walkers, by bikers, by all sorts of things. So in the spirit of explaining why I supported the application, is that I think it does fulfill my understanding of what a walkable infill should look like. And the question of compatibility with surrounding area is one that trips us up all the time, because as long as you're talking about property within a certain zone, it's pretty obvious whether it's going to be compatible. But once you're talking about a development that's in a different zoning category, then it would be nonsensical for the proposed project to be compatible with the zone next door. It should be compatible with its zone. So the apples and oranges to the heights of the apartments, I think, is relevant. Going from 2 stories to 3 stories is new for that area, but if we're going to look for ways to address that compatibility issue, maybe we need to look at that part of the ordinance. In terms of affordability, I think we do have mechanisms to do that, especially when people come and ask for variances. If they were asking for 15 stories here, there'd be a whole lot of conditions that were stuck on it. It probably wouldn't pass, but if they were seeking more density than our ordinance allows, we would then have leverage to say, wait a minute, we want some of that to be more affordable. And we can probably improve our ordinance to have more of those kinds of levers. Sorry, soapbox over.
Thank you.
Okay, if there is nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Snyder, second?
Yeah, Snyder, second. We are adjourned at 8:24. Thank you.